Hey folks, this is Billy DKY, the truth seeker that simplifies and demystifies. This is going to be my video, What is a Question Anyway? And that's sort of funny. What is a question anyway? So anyway, I'm going along today and it's just like, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is a question anyway? And I started looking deeper into it and you know, it took me a little bit to work through it, but eventually I got down to a question is a moment of openness that allows for growth. And I've got some stuff I wrote up on it, and we're going to go through this a little bit, and I'm going to add it to the blog eventually after this, you know, within time. So a question is a moment of openness that allows for growth. So think about it. You got data over here, life experiences you learned over here, and then you ask that question, and all of a sudden it just all brings it all together. You're like, ah, yes, and it feels so good when that growth happens in your mind. Or maybe it's in your spirit even, or somewhere like that. Or maybe it's a connection between your spirit and your consciousness. So anyway, or it could be something like this. You could ask a question that like you have something in your spirit that you think life is a certain way, but then you ask a question and you honestly evaluate what's in your spirit, and all of a sudden you realize it's not that way, and it plucks out in a moment. You're like, oh. You know, so any way you look at it, a question is a moment of openness that allows for growth. So, okay, so let's talk about it a little bit now, and think about science, or think about philosophy. Philosophy, you know, it just asks a bunch of questions, but it really don't get down to doing any experiments, so it's really not very powerful. And if you listen to philosophers, what they say is real. I mean, they may be fast thinkers, and they quickly get away from reality, and that's why their philosophies are not very powerful in reality. And so, I'm not a historian, but I think this is the way it went. People started out philosophers, and somebody said, you know what, we need to test this stuff. And then once you started testing it, then you started getting some real power because you had a feedback loop. Well, is that thought correct? You test it. Is it correct? And it's a process of thinking and testing. And notice that's how science has evolved over the last 2,000 years. It uses my principle, it uses principle 5, question everything, and principle 6, know your teacher, reality. And it combines those in a loop like that. They constantly are growing each other, and it's a great questioning things and testing them is a very powerful couple, I would say. So let me see what I've said here. Okay, and like I said, it allows you to grow and self-correct. You know, like I said, philosophy, it doesn't have that self-correction. And also you see it with religion. You know, they won't allow themselves to ask questions. You can't question, is Jesus God? You can't question the Bible. It's you know, omnipotent authority that can never be questioned, which that doesn't lead to growth. So, and that's why religions die, because they don't ask the questions. They don't ask questions of their deeper truths, and they don't. And that, plus you see in like Revelations, it basically says anybody that adds this book, blah blah, is cursed, which that's nonsense. It's death. It's death to the religion. It seals fate. Okay, and then I say, likewise, don't sit around thinking all day without seeing if what you're thinking matches up with reality. Reality is a good check on your thoughts. Here's a quote by Cadman: a little experience often upsets a lot of theory, so question things but bounce your ideas off of reality and pay attention to see if you're right. Okay, this is the first time I've ever done what I'm getting ready to do. I'm going to show how all the principles work together to lead to growth and progress. And that's what I'm going to do in this next paragraph that I'm going to read from out here. And I think it's going to make it really clear how I mean to use these principles in everyday life. So, okay, so I start off saying, are you starting to see how it all works? You question things, which is principle 5. Then you bounce those ideas off of reality, which is principle 6, know your teacher, reality. And pay attention, which that's principle 4, attention, to see what you're thinking. To see if what you're thinking matches up with reality, again, principle 6. In the process of doing all that, you don't get lost in the details, which that's principle 9, simplicity, and you discipline yourself to not violate baby steps, which disciplines principle 3, baby steps principle 2. And the whole time you were trying to grow, you were applying yourself the whole way through this, working through it all, which is principle 1, apply yourself. Then you evaluate your perception of reality. Again, there's principle 6, reality. You make sure ego and pleasure aren't skewing your understanding, which ego and pleasure is principle 7. Once you feel like you have it right, you watch reality, again, principle 6, and see if what you're thinking is in harmony with reality, which harmony is, you know, principle 8 is seek harmony and peace. And reality again is principle 6. If you're right, which you got to pay attention, so that's principle 4, you move on to the next thing to discover, which is principle 1. You're applying yourself. And again, the whole time this is all going on, you're paying attention to everything, your thoughts and reality and this and that. That's principle 4. If you're wrong, which requires honesty, again, principle 7, know your enemies, ego and pleasure. If you are wrong, which requires honesty, then you have to reevaluate what happened contrary to what you thought should happen and learn from it. And the evaluation process, again, is questioning things, and you may be taking in more data, paying more attention to reality, because you may not have enough data to make a decision yet. So again, that would be principle 4, paying more attention. And basically, once you conquered that growth cycle of that issue, then you repeat the process and just keep repeating the process until you die. And so I think that makes it clear how the path unfolds using the principles. And again, the blog is the first link in the information section of this video. And I don't know, it's really, the book I'm writing is going to be absolutely amazing. I'm going to get to the core of life, and the next time you meet a Christian who's closed-minded, who can't learn and doesn't want to learn, just tell them, say, look, your unwillingness to ask a question is significantly hindering your growth and your kids' growth. So if you love yourself and your kids, and not only that, it's hindering the whole world by not questioning your cherished beliefs, So anyway, man, I don't know. I'm pretty excited. I wanted to share this with you and let you take advantage of what I've learned and get some feedback from you. So until the next video, later, folks.